Agada.
Mbijan aganya.
Albaka.
Mbaka important.
Yo, nga transfer la sto.
Ya transfer la.
Ha, code nyinji.
Okay. What's that? Nsila ID soto.
Sa soto. Sorry. Agada.
Mbijan bro.
Albaka.
Mbaka.
Bara alla service o tariya.
Mbale.
Mo ki janna nun kunu bara tariya.
Jannom yona forest de bureau. Gambia tonkon na no mbali ya bere. Birim koyna fo kato.
Bari si kodo kino kato ni fo bolong blabe.
56 branches mola soto Gambia jam.
Ha?
Gambia kono ani Gambia bankala bankol. Nko kodo kiya bere. Kodo sifa fo falindiro fo nyaadi lafta même na kodi to poto nin kodi maraw. Jannom number 1 ti nyonta. Andum fana nata anoda enterprise sotale. Wolam nyindi ko domorol fana kol fana be firale de dadi man domorol dil fana beteat. Gambia dawda yalo ngam fa kendol sotale je.
Wo moyo diat ha.
Apelenta
baraka. Ni ma lafta nyelen kendol e bina.
Yalo bukani la ko la baraka ba.
Yalo ndel chosano lo.
Baraka.
Him that the last time he sent the money, it was not enough to buy all the provisions.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to tell him.
Are you guys talking about money transfer to buy provisions?
Yes.
But don't you know about Baluwo?
Baluwo? What is Baluwo?
Baluwo is a service that your son can use to send provisions directly to you guys from the shop. And you don't have to worry about the exchange rate.
Tell me how Baluwo works.
It's very simple.
Just log on to baluwo.com and shop, or download the app on your phone. You can shop on the website or using the app to buy online basic products for your family and friends. With Baluwo, you decide what your money is spent on. Your money, your choice. Buy online products for your family and friends in the Gambia, Senegal, Nigeria or Mali. Baluwo, better than sending money.
For the first time in the history of the Gambia, Gambia Printing Publishing Corporation proudly introduces the Biliomatic exercise book printing machine. The machine has the capacity to print more than 20,000 books per hour. Yes, 20,000 books per hour. It also prints magazines, newspapers, calendars, flyers, normal books and all kinds of printed documents plus items at affordable prices. With the Biliomatic printing machine, GPPC can now render high quality and non-size restricted printing service supply across the sub-region. Rush now and partner with GPPC for all your public and private printing service needs. Print with us today and you'd be offered highly professional, reliable and efficient service delivery by our team of experts. The Gambia Printing and Publishing Corporation is here to meet all demands and is reliable at all times. For more info, contact us on 437-4493 or 437-4402. GPPC is Gambian and it's yours.
Hello and welcome to the brunch on Kerfatu Live. I am Lamin Cham and this is our weekly look at current affairs here over the last 7 days. This week we will talk about the rising migration, departures or problems affecting the country, because over the last 2 weeks or so it's been reported that more than 24 Gambians might have died at sea. On the circumstances that the Gambia Immigration Department have been investigating and have been making plans to tackle. We'll also look at the budget of the Gambia as Parliament convenes to look at the Gambia's budget 2023-24. First though, we go to the main topic, that is immigration and illegal migration, because like I said, over the last 2 weeks it's been reported that maybe quite more than 24 Gambians, migrants, might have died at sea. The Gambia government accepted or admitted that there have been reports of deaths among Gambian migrants and have extended condolences to the families of the victims. The Gambia Immigration Department, meanwhile, came with a strategy they called Operation No Departure to Back Way. This and other aspects are what we are going to discuss in today's program. So I am joined in the studio by Inspector Alkali Jammeh. He is the Assistant Head of Operations at the Migration Management Units of the Gambia Immigration Department. And with me to do that is Sait Matty, of course, who also researched for Afrobarometer on migration and is a lecturer at the University of the Gambia. I don't know how much of that is he doing now. So we will also be joined by Yusuf Taylor, the editor of Gainago, otherwise called Flex, who has the budget, the whole budget that you need to know about in 2023-24. So please stick around and enjoy the brunch this week. Good. Let's go straight to Inspector Alkali Jammeh. Inspector, welcome.
Thank you very much. Good morning, viewers. Good morning, my colleague, Mr. Jao. Mr. Jam, thank you very much for having me on the show. Thank you.
Good. All right. Over the last 10 days or 2 weeks, there have been a lot of, wild rumors and then later confirmations that a number of Gambians, quite a sizable number of Gambians, may have died. And there are hundreds and others, reports of hundreds of others, which are not accounted for. The whole problem of illegal migration have occupied the minds and the hearts of Gambians. Everywhere you go, you heard of death or missing relatives on one boat or the other. Mauritania, Senegal, Spain, all reporting that they are intercepting migrant boats and reports, widespread reports of reported deaths. Now, I know the Immigration Department is working and perhaps on top of all these reports. So this afternoon, I would like you to tell Gambians, first of all, let's start talking about your unit, Migration Management Unit. What does it do?
Well, thank you very much. First of all, I think we all know the function of the GID, being the government institution responsible for the control of the movement of people coming in and out.
Yeah.
There is a unit at the GID called the Migration Management Unit, where I work. We are responsible for coordinating all border management and migration management efforts. This includes interception of irregular departures, coordinating the implementation of the border management efforts of GID, and also implementing all policies relating to border management at the GID. We actually also investigate intercepted departures, and also keep records of all departures, arrivals, interceptions, additionally returns, voluntary returns, deportations, and all that.
I guess you go about it through different projects. What kind of projects do you have? You work with IOM, you mentioned the International Migration Unit, and I guess European counterparts, because that's where, illegal departures, that's where they head. Are you currently working on projects? How do you, and what are these projects?
Yes, at the moment, we are having a project called the COP Gambia project. It's a European Union funded project, jointly implemented by the Spanish National Police and the GID. We share the same office, and this unit, or this project, is here to help the GID in the fight against irregular migration, controlling movement, and collecting intelligence or information on attempted departures. Additionally, we are also working with the IOM. The IOM is actually working with all government institutions, but in terms of border management, GID is the lead. So GID is actually implementing this border management aspect of the UN interventions in the Gambia. We also have the Spanish Guardia Civil. We are also working with them with regards to patrolling and the collection of intelligence up to interception of attempted departures. I think basically these are most of the institutions we are working with. With the other institutions like UNODC and the like, we work on capacity building and development of several tools like DCAF. We work with them with regards to the developing of working tools, GID working tools, the Immigration Act, the SOPs and all that stuff.
So basically, the Gambia government has agreements with European or other countries in terms of migration, but the implementation units, of course, is the GID.
Yes, with regards to border management.
Border management
unit is GID.
Okay, all right.
And that's what we do. GID actually is the mandated unit, mandated department, according to law, to control the movement of people, and this includes smuggling of migrants. This is what we do at the MMU. Okay. Trafficking, there's a special agency for trafficking that is NATIP, but for smuggling of migrants, GID handles it at department level. The MMU is responsible for coordinating all those efforts and activities at department level, and this is what we do. We coordinate it at headquarters level. We have our units in Bara and in Tanje, controlling the whole southern coastline, that is from Katong to Bakau or Banjul. And we have,
so if I see an immigration officer at the Tanje beach, as I always do, or in Bakau, they are from your unit? Most of the time.
Yes, they report to our unit. Our unit has sub-branches, substations. Okay. And those substations are Bara and Katong. Okay. Sorry, Bara and Bara. Bara and Tanje. No, at Tanje we have a special unit. That's where we have our reception facility.
I see. You have more men there.
More men there. That unit is responsible for patrolling the whole southern coastline from Katong to Bakau. Notwithstanding, we also have other stations along that line. Katong, Gunjur, Sanyang, and Bakau. Okay. Those units are multifunctional. They engage in irregular migration, but they also engage in aliens registration and all that stuff. Okay. But Tanje is specifically for irregular migration. Bara also, we have a unit there specifically for irregular migration. They control the whole northern coastline. That is from the Dijinak end towards the interior, Jufure, and so on.
So before we come to the statistics, let us first discuss, with all these units you have deployed in Tanje, Bakau, Bara, one would then have wondered, how is it possible that people still manage to escape, your this eagle eye watch to embark on this? What has been the challenges?
Well, I think irregular migration is quite complex and difficult to control. And officers are not magicians, or they are not Google eye machines to see everything that's going on along the coast. Yes. What we have been concerned with is information coming from the communities, and we think in most cases people in the community have been complicit to these activities. They are aware of it.
And that's all of us.
Law enforcement cannot operate without information.
Now you said something that's very important. Yes. You said people are complicit. We are all complicit in this migration. Flex, I introduce you. I just come here. I'm sure you will also have questions for Inspector Alkali Jammeh. People have said that what makes your job difficult is that Gambian community themselves actually are the ones encouraging illegal migration.
Yes, migration.
And I said that could include me, Sait, Inspector, myself, yourself. Maybe your seniors might have sponsored one of these people. I wonder how you can arrest a board where your cousin or your person. So yes, these are complex. All of us are, but try to explain to us, what kind of scenario do you find out? How do they go, and how do you go about?
Thank you. It's actually a problem, because in some communities you see that they've gone to a certain extent that they've normalized it.
I see.
Imagine you go to a mosque and you hear the imam saying, let us pray for our people who are on the way. Currently on the way. It's normalized.
Really?
Information does not come to us the way we want. Or if it comes, sometimes it's late. Or sometimes if it comes, maybe they are stuck somewhere or they have a problem. Or in few occasions, you have people who are disgruntled. Maybe they paid their money and the organizer didn't fulfill what he said on time.
I see.
And their time is wasted, and maybe they rush to us. Or in few occasions, you have Gambians who are willing to come forward and explain themselves. If not, our officers remain on the ground. They look for information. They try to infiltrate these organized cells.
Yes.
Because it's well organized. It's an organized crime in most cases. Because sometimes we have the main organizer in Senegal. He has agents in the Gambia who will help him with the recruitment. He will go to communities he will go to people he knows and inform them about the plan. Now, people will go to maybe VOOs and they like invite people who want to join, but in secret. They'll be paying in secret, paying to the man, and then the money is sent. In most cases, the money goes to Senegal. In most cases, they stay in Senegal because they want to run away from us. There are problems.
So most of the organizers are based in Senegal? A
lot of them are based in Senegal. They have mainly agents here operating on the ground, collecting the monies and sending it to them. In some cases, yes, we manage to get them before they actually complete organizing. In some cases, we meet them at the departure points. In some cases, we are led to know their departure, but we intercept them at sea. So there are several scenarios. But the biggest problem here we have is that the communities don't actually come to us to tell us what is going on. Because some people fear the fact of people saying that, look, you are the one who snitched the whole deal. You don't want people to travel. You are jealous. You are this, you are that. You know, they stigmatize people who give information to law enforcement. And that makes our job much more difficult. There are instances where we go to communities and they don't want to cooperate. We face certain instances where we went to a community to make an interception on 3 occasions, and they were violent against us.
Yes.
Stones started raining on us, and we have to leave the place. We have to call for reinforcement to make sure that we disperse the crowd. And these are instances where our officers' lives have been in danger. Imagine just trying to help, because our main aim here is to save lives. Our main aim here is to save lives because the journeys are dangerous. Judging by the recent disasters that happened,
yes,
it's a clear manifestation of the dangers of what we have been trying to fight.
Let's come to the disaster before we go to explore more this operation Zero Departure to Barkway. I mean, we would like to know what new measures are involved in this operation. But what statistics have you got? People have been saying maybe 24 people, 30 people, 50 people. What did you hear, Flexi? You know,
the numbers keep changing.
Keep changing. You might have that. And in fact, I saw a list of people who are supposedly from Jambur or Katong, and nothing has been, as far as the report is concerned, nobody knows the whereabouts of those ones. What have you been officially receiving?
Actually, we collect statistics on attempted departures, interceptions, migrants returned, and all that. But for deaths, we can only get the number of deaths that happen within the Gambia. For those that happen from outside, we can rely on our partners or rely on the accounts of migrants, survivors. And this is difficult to establish. We cannot actually establish officially how many people have died on this journey. We cannot, because there are instances where we had narrations from migrants that some people misbehaved on the boat. You know, they accuse each other of witchcraft and all that.
Yes, we had all that.
And they fight. Sometimes they kill each other. They throw each other off board. And some instances, boats arrive and some people die along the way. Some Gambians have actually died in the desert. Some have been involved in disaster. So we cannot actually compile an accurate list. Honestly, as a unit, we cannot compile an accurate list, but I can tell you that it's close to 50 or over 50 Gambians have died this year from this irregular migration disasters. The number of departures continues to rise, especially this year. What happened this year is different from the other years. Last year, we recorded only 2 departures. Only 2. 213 people, 22 minors. Only 2. This year, so far, we recorded about 27 attempts. So we intercepted 27 boats. We recorded 34 arrivals in Spain, in Morocco, in Senegal, and in Mauritania. 34.
34 boats. When you say arrival, 34 boats
that reached there. Yes. And 27 interceptions.
So you are talking about 50 something who wanted to go. Flex.
You can guess, because we are trying to get the exact figure, but I believe it's close to 5,000 people have arrived. Because the last district calculation that we did in the office, the number of arrivals that boats that departed from Gambia is around 5,000. 5,000 people. That is almost 10% of them are minors. 10% of 5,000, we closely around 500 people. You know, these are figures.
Might be young. When you say minors, you mean
minors? Yeah,
small children.
Less than 18. Yeah,
less than 18.
Yes. Yes, and this includes women, of course, and men. And out of the 34, 22 arrived in the Canaries.
Canary Islands.
Yes, 4 in Senegal, 4 in Mauritania, 3 in Morocco. And out of that, some of them are disasters.
What about
some of them arrive in Spain with dead bodies? Some of them arrive, it's quite difficult.
Oh, so the information as to those gone missing. I mean, in Gunjur particularly, it's been 9 months or so since they said a certain number of people went missing. And
Yes.
I saw a list being circulated in the media, supposedly people from Jambur. What information do you get on that?
As we speak, some are still looking for their relatives. Actually, they don't come to us to look for their relatives. We actually follow what's going on social media, but we can't actually 100% bank on that. We need proof and facts that these people died. If yes, from accounts of people who have actually witnessed these disasters, or from our Spanish counterparts in Spain or Morocco, who have actually seen these people and can attest that these are Gambians who died. It's quite difficult to lay your hand on the exact figure, because this is irregular, remember. Regular migration, you can actually list everybody. You can actually profile everybody. But irregular migration, it means that somebody who has decided to circumvent regular departure, sneaking out of the country irregularly to try to attempt to enter another country illegally. Because to enter a country, you need to enter legally. That is presenting yourself in front of an immigration officer, presenting valid travel documents, presenting valid entry reasons, so that you can be allowed to enter and reside in that country for whatever time you want. If you circumvent that, you're breaking the laws of those countries. And this is what all our boys have done, or people or youths have done. Now it's left to that country. It's left to that country. You cannot enter my country illegal and then condition me as to what to do, despite the existence of all these protocols.
Yes, if possible.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. My name is Yusuf Taylor. I'm just coming in now.
Okay.
Was at another event. You know, us journalists. Yeah. We have to cover lots of things. Even the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and International Cooperation and Gambians Abroad, they've released a statement. I don't know, I'm sure you might have seen it on 14 November.
We published it.
Published it, yes. And what struck me in the statement is that there seems to, and in fact, many of times when our young people or those who are migrants are intercepted, you will see they will write that the Senegalese Navy. And even in this statement, they are highlighting that the Senegalese, Mauritania, and Moroccan Coast Guards and Navy are patrolling. So in a way to sort of, for those would-be backways to know that you might escape Gambia, but you may not pass these guys. What about our own Navy? How many interceptions have we had? Because in here they rely a lot of the interceptions which they are talking about. So they are saying currently 3 different boats have been intercepted and rescued by Moroccan Royal Navy. You see, so which is what we would be hoping that maybe what is our Navy doing in that regard?
We are working very, very closely with the Gambian Navy. They actually respond to all these disasters. You know, the Navy, it's multifunctional. They work with the Fisheries Department on the illegal fishing, illegal trade, illegal smuggling, and all that stuff. So we work with them. Anytime we need them, we are assured that they will respond. They've responded on numerous occasions. They've done numerous interceptions. I am saying we had over 27 interceptions this year. Some of them are at sea. Some of them are at the shore. Some of them are actually at their hiding places. So they've actually done a lot. But you know, the sea is too wide and too difficult to control. Most of these boats don't have GPS. They don't have GPS. You can't track them. You can't see them in a computer. You have to see them using a binocular, or using a drone, or using a helicopter that will patrol, or a Navy boat comes across if the migrants are unlocking. Despite all these patrols, can you imagine that we've had several departures from Senegal itself that arrive? Senegalese constitute the highest at this moment, highest arrivals. If we count Gambia 34 arrivals, Senegal is over that figure. So despite the patrols, it's quite difficult. The sea is too large, and these people are too
Experienced
fishermen. They always try to be ahead of us. They try to beat the system. No matter what measures we put across, they try. But we are always trying to be ahead of them at the same time.
So who are normally the captains and crew of this boat?
Some of them are the normal fishermen we normally see at the fishing sites. Experienced fishermen. Some of them are just mere migrants. They will just organize the boat and show you how to, do one or two things and say, okay, go this way, give you the instruction, and then go. Wow. In some instances, of recent, from the third quarter of 2023, July to date, we've seen a rise in the number of fishermen that depart. And this is a problem for the fish landing sites of Katong, Gunjur, Tanje. Fishermen themselves are going. If you go to Katong, I think you can actually finger count the number of fishermen that remain. A lot of them have departed.
Becoming migrants, you mean?
Yes. Those we were counting on to give us the information are actually the ones who are actually sailing the boats.
It's usually the case.
Yes. So actually, it's a problem. You go to fight something that you don't have information of. The one you are relying on, the fishermen, the people who go at sea, they're actually the people who are into this thing. The communities. They are actually the people who are into these things. I don't deny the fact that sometimes resources become our problem because we need to respond to certain emergencies and we may not be able to respond adequately because of lack of resources. Fuel being one of the biggest problems.
For the Navy especially.
For the Navy, to move a Navy boat from the naval yard to Katong, it's very expensive. One boat. So if you need to move them, with very good information, which needs corroboration and for it to be very, very strong and accurate. You move one boat, you spend around $50,000 plus $55,000 to move to Gunjur and back to do an interception. So how many $55,000 do you need to spend on daily basis for a week, for a month? Does the Gambia government have that money?
Not money.
I don't know, because the Navy budget does not cover that. The GID budget cannot cover that amount of fuel. So maybe this is where we need to constraints. Yes, look at these constraints and say, okay, look, these people are constrained and they cannot do this.
So what is this operation? No departure means then? How do you
without the fuel? Maybe the National Assembly members can help us.
Yes,
put fuel there.
yes. Following the disasters that occurred. That took the life of those youths in Bakau and those from the south of Jambu and Kundur and so on and so forth. It became a problem because it has reached crisis level. Let me give you a simple statistic. From January this year, from last year we had only 2 departures.
Yes.
This year we recorded, 34.
34 arrivals.
Okay, that is actually something that has reached crisis level. Secondly, from January to June, we had about 6 departures recorded. All of a sudden, from July to the 1st, 2nd of November, it became an explosion. It became an explosion. That is when we had all these departures. And what is more interesting is that you had people forcing to go, even after knowing that law enforcement is on us. They're forced to go. People come in large crowds. You go to these departure points. You see the community. Yes, you see the communities. Some people from the communities coming and attempting to join the boats uninvited. Uninvited. People just deliberately do whatever they like.
Publicly, they come and say they want to go. It's no longer.
Yes. Despite the fact that they know that, but there is something that's also disturbing us. That is the law to criminalize. It's not yet criminalized.
Yeah, smuggling, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yes, in Senegal it is criminalized. In the Gambia it is not. This is what we realized over the years.
You mean smuggling or smuggling people into boats is not a criminal offense?
Smuggling of migrants by boat, by land, by the airport.
It's not a criminal offense.
It's not criminal. It's an immigration administrative offense, which attracts only a fine of 5,000, not more than 5,000. So you can imagine somebody who loads a whole boat collecting over $5 million to $8 million or $10 million. You arrest him. We do all the job. We do all the hard work. We spend sleepless nights. We try our best. We risk our lives We go to these places, we hide, we wait for them, we arrest them, we write case reports, we charge them, we send them to court, and the only thing the judge can give them is 5,000.
Because that's the law.
So they're ready to risk it.
Yeah.
It's worth it for them.
5,000.
But for me, the other thing that
There is no option for imprisonment. Mandatory,
No.
mandatory imprisonment.
Failure to pay the 5,000, you can
Which
go
they will
for it.
pay. Which they will pay 10 times.
5,000 failure to pay. Nobody will fail to pay that. If you can pay,
of course they will pay 10 times.
collected million. But then for me, that's the problem. Like,
So
you
even
know,
the judges are restricted because that's the law.
That's the
far
law.
as they can go.
they have to follow the law. And for us too, we have to follow the law. That's what the law says.
So just now the onus now is on the National Assembly or government to commit a legislation.
There is a bill.
There's a bill already.
Smuggling of migrants bill.
Okay. What happened?
It's
Flex, you follow this. Have you ever
yes,
heard of that?
there is a bill.
And it's not it's not in this last session.
No, it's not there.
So it's not
at the Ministry of Interior level. It was sent to the Ministry of Justice for legal advice. They did it. They sent it. They needed a cabinet paper. It was done. So I think
well, as far as we know, it's not in this last session. So it's going to be next legislative year. So the migrants have another 6 months or so to pass.
Smugglers.
No,
they're gonna panic because we are not going to let them do it anyhow they like.
No, it's the smugglers that are benefiting from this. But for me, the other point is like, you know, you're talking about collecting, and I think Gambians are not seeing this point. You know, this is like a business for some people. They come here, they don't go.
Business.
So they come, they collect as much as 8 million, and all of these monies are not staying in this country because majority of those that are doing this are not Gambian. But look at this violation. One, you lose your money. Secondly, you might not able to, you know, to reach again. So you lose like twice. Yeah, and then at the end of the day, you know, this country is losing as well. Even at least if people were just even leaving the money here, at least one can talk about it, but it's not. So like,
but even if you're living money, people are dying.
People are dying. So those are the issues too. I mean, so for me, I think, I mean, even the smuggling, I think I attended one of the validation, and I think this has been also part of the process. But then, of course, the biggest problem for us is that migration is just a new issue that this government, it's not new, but it's very recent that this government is, you know, trying to tackle. And most of these issues started after 2017, you know, that you start seeing all these different, you know, efforts being done. So we neglected a lot of this legislation prior. And even the immigration bill itself, you know, I mean, immigration as an institution. I mean, like, you need to, in a democratic setting, if you want them to do their work, you need to give them that strong legal backing so that they're able to do some of these things that they're doing. But as much as we're working on this trafficking, that is very good, we need to also focus on the smuggling, because at the end of the day, if you look at the economic and the lives that have been lost, I mean, for me, I think, you know, the state must take its position that nobody should live. It's simple as that. If you want to make it, get a skill, follow the right path, and then if they give you visa, you go. If they don't give you visa, you stay. But at least get something, you know, that is for you. Otherwise, you know,
well, the state can argue that we cannot stop people from coming. We don't have the resources, or we may have the manpower, but we don't have the resources to be able to do it 100%. But at least we have a legislation. If you are caught, perhaps, and you are punished, prosecuted, that will discourage others from doing it.
So,
but that legislation,
nobody is trying to stop migration. That has to be clear.
People I mean the irregular one. We are talking now about the irregular.
Migration has been here since time immemorial. It's one of the most, the oldest activities, human activities, movement of people from one place to another, either internal or external. People have to move. What we just want is for people to move orderly and regularly. You want to go to Europe, use the regular pathways.
Which is difficult now. I mean that is what
maybe that is.
We will actually want to discuss from what you have from your research.
We can discuss the national budget.
from research and from your interactions. What are the main causes, driving factors? Of course, you know, you hear that, okay, one, peer pressure, people who, you know, managed to reach Europe and have got lucky, or, you know, came and, you know, invest in a way that peers saw and then put pressure on their people and said, I must go. That's one factor. So others said, there is no opportunity. The government always said we have created opportunities. We have tried to get people to get skilled. We can't. We have done everything possible to keep them here, but they weren't there. Others say, look, even if you work here for 100 years, you can't make it. You know, that's just how these things. So what do you officially and through your research, what are the, you know, areas you think are responsible for this sudden surge? Because, you know, at one time we thought it has dwindled, but then suddenly we saw an upsurge in the last couple of months.
But for me, I'm also interested in, because you talk about the statistics, that from January to June, it was a small number. Exactly. But suddenly it increased. Does it have something to do also with the weather, you know, or the, like...
Even the economic hardship.
Yeah,
currently, like, I think it's everybody will accept.
Yeah.
We are going through a very difficult financial period. Why? Cost of living is surging out of control.
Out of proportion.
And then you have the other problem of our salaries are just stagnated. That is, if you have a salary.
Yes.
You see, so unemployment, they just put the G-Boss, they just release a survey. And if you see, unemployment is galloping out of control, spiraling. So I believe the 150,000 jobs, the government has said that they have a policy of 150,000 jobs. Whether they are implementing this policy proactively to encourage would-be migrants that, look, there is an alternative. This 150,000 jobs over 5 years is 30,000 jobs if you just do the, you know, divide it. And then with that, the government could have had an initiative where these are the 30,000 jobs we have for this year. We don't want you people to go anywhere. These are the skill sets which we need you to take up. Once you have these skills, you will be able to take these jobs. They are in for the offing, but I don't see that happening.
You know, the government has this, in collaboration with the European, they had this take a fee. They had
which is EU driven, donor driven.
Yeah, but then at least that was an intervention that we thought would have really reduced.
You know, Lamin, you asked a question in terms of what are the driving forces. Yes. I mean, for me, I mean, I've been doing some research on migration and all that, but subsequently, I mean, it will be very difficult to say generally. You know, we know already hardship. We know that this country is difficult. I mean, like Flex said, the cost of living is increasing, but for me, I looked at it like it's more of a personal. At some point, it's more like a personal decision that people will, you know, will look at. Of course, there are push and pull factors, but eventually, different reasons lead to different people migrating. For instance, and for me, honestly, I don't think we understand these issues in terms of the structural factors, but also in terms of the personal factors that are pushing and driving these people. Of course, the benefit is to get money, to help family, to support the development of the country. And I always say that if these young people are so brave to risk their lives so that they can take care of people here, why can they risk their life here? So that they can get what they want to get, so that it can germinate and grow in this part.
You know,
but it's usually a difficult question. For me, where I also blame in government, it's like sometimes, you know, before the narrative was, oh, young people are lazy, you know, they don't want to work, they don't want. People that are risking their lives, and these are people that have work, save money, you know, before they decide to spend their money on this particular journey, or they've been sponsored by somebody who believe that this is the way. So how do you understand all these social, psychosocial, and all these different factors? For me, is what's needed. And he said earlier that is the rest of society, because in society here, everybody wants to compete with everybody. You know, we don't know our, like, I know, like, I was born in 1985. I don't know when I'm gonna die. I can live here and then die. But people want everything in a very quick, short, and fast way. Even the people that are rich, I don't think that they went through those ways, those short and fast ways. They build something, they work on it. You know, at some point though, it's very difficult for who speaks on this issue or who doesn't speak. Because then for me now, if I start talking, they say like he make it, but like everybody is struggling, and that is the reality. But the Yena Tamid is about how do you you know, think about the broader picture. And so for me, at some point, that's why I say it must be an individual decision. And then it is these individual decisions that also increase. If more people want to go, then they become more burden for us. And so imagine if the Navy has to intervene, we are going to spend a lot of money. Instead of spending it in healthcare, in other things, we're spending it in stopping people from migrating. You know? So there are a lot of issues you have. It's the society that should also question these issues, and then we put it on the table. But if we just say, oh, let it go because the country is hard, you know, and at some point, who's going to be here in this country?
Indeed, that will be difficult. And then, is it not, Inspector, is it not also a simple concept that, look, you know, you can make this big money in this country within a short time. The only way to make money is to go abroad. Within a short time you can get money. You can stay here 30 years, you can still even build a house, or for example, you can even buy a car for yourself. So if I go to Europe, or I see somebody who been to Europe for 2-3 months, is able to get that. Isn't that the concept of that we can't make it here?
At some point, you can say yes, it's one of the driving forces. Peer pressure, of course, is one of the things. As I said earlier, it is normalized. Gambians tend to grab onto certain things when some new things come. It becomes like a trend. When the smartphones came, everybody wanted a smartphone.
Everybody obsessed with it.
Yes, with a smartphone.
Common obsession.
Yes, when posting on TikTok came along, everybody wanted to post on TikTok. That's how we drift from this thing to another. Now that this thing came, everybody wants to go. Parents want, if you go to the most of the communities in the provinces, people want people to go to Europe. They will, many people have stopped farming. We interview a lot of the migrants and they tell you, I'm a farmer. Yeah. I farmed this season. I got this. You remember July, August, September was the end of the farming season when people started selling their watermelon farms, the groundnut and so on and so forth. Some of the people who sold those agricultural produce are the ones who are actually using them to go.
For others to go.
Yes, you see such instances. So other instances are people who actually went and started making some money in Europe, actually sponsoring their younger brothers, their family members to also join them. This year, we also saw instances where I've interviewed women, and some of them, I think 2-3 of them told me that their husbands paid for them to go and join them. They cannot get the regular pathway. Now the husband paid for the wife to use the back way and join them.
Yeah, there have been cases of husband on the other side who haven't got perhaps settlements to be able to invite a spouse as a dependent. So instead pay for the boats to take somewhere and pick her up.
Yes, you interview them, they give you different reasons. There are so many reasons, as he said, so many reasons. Some is just individual. Some is that, okay, all my boys went, I have to go. Some is the parents telling you, Mr. X's child went, he's making it, what are you doing?
That's a bad one.
Mama is feeding you
that one is more than peer, it's parent praise.
It starts, as I said earlier, even at our gatherings, our ngentes, our marriage ceremonies, our Juma prayers, our Fajr prayers. You see religious leaders singling out people who are on the way and people who are in Europe, just to pray for them. So if you are here like me and you are just an officer, they don't pray for their people who are in the south. So
you don't deserve prayer.
It's something that has been boiling in the communities, and then all of a sudden we take it. Another thing is that from July, it started becoming a little bit hot. The ice started melting around that, and the sea become steadier. It was easier to sail. When the sea is rough, it takes you more days to reach. When the sea is calmer, so that period was. So that could be one of the reasons why they wanted to take advantage of that period, and we had like that huge number.
And they get that intelligence from experienced fishermen, experienced boatmen.
Gambian fishermen are going up to as far as Senegal, or some go up as far as Mauritania, so they know what's happening down there. When they go for 1 week and come back, they tell you what's happening down there. You, the officer who is collecting intelligence or information from people, you only depend on what they give you. But you can hear that somebody is organizing, but you may not know the exact day he's departing. And for example, if you need to arrest somebody, you need to do it in a way that you can get evidence so that you can proceed to prosecution. And this is what makes our jobs difficult. We just don't go and arrest people for hearing rumors. So it becomes a problem.
Reasonable reason.
Yes, the statistics as of now shows that the trend is shifting from one side in the southern side and towards the other side of the south. We had a couple of weeks ago, Katong, and then coming towards Gunjur and towards Bakau, and that's what they usually do. They don't like we are like a cat and a mouse. You chase them this side, they start operating on the other side.
So what happened to those who actually arrived in Europe, either through Tenerife or Lampedusa in Italy or Canary Islands in Spain? What happened to them? What do you get informed as immigration you get information from your peers or your counterparts over there. What happened to them?
As per international migration laws, if you have these people, you have to take them in, irrespective of how they came in. A migrant cannot be criminalized for the sole reason of being a migrant. That is international law. You cannot criminalize a migrant.
So they take them into camps.
They take them into camps. They offer them immediate assistance, clothing, food, medical care, and all that. If they can get them psychosocial support, they get them and they try to sort them out. And after which they start processing them. They'll provide them and process them. They count, they know how many people are there, and they start getting their stories. Now, that's when they report back to us and tell us we've had this number of people who claim to have departed from Gambia. Sometimes we try to verify if actually the departure took place in Gambia or the departure started somewhere. And in some of these 34 arrivals in Spain or abroad that I counted, some of them are actually empty boats moving from Elenkin, Kafountine and Casamas, passing through Kartong, Gunjur, and picking people up to the northern side, and they proceed.
They just operate like a regular bus, a regular airline.
Well, they are
airlines picking people.
Yeah, just like a bus that picks people at regular intervals along the way. And when they reach, we are informed of the information, and we actually verify, and that's all we can do. For the Spanish authorities, they have laws governing these situations, and they govern, they handle them that way. They allow them to also seek asylum, to seek help.
Those who succeed often come with a story. They often criticize your department for I don't know what cooperation do you have. They say you go there, identify them, and they get deported. They said you do that.
No. We don't have any intention to bring anybody back, because if we bring you back, we cannot guarantee you that you will get a job here. We cannot.
So what do you do when you are called? Not often your men go there. What do they go?
We have missions in Europe. We normally go there to assess, because we have a lot of Gambians in European prisons. Some are suffering. Some need to come back. Honestly, if you go to Europe and you exhaust all your immigration legal process, you cannot stay there. You cannot just be languishing in prison like that. And these are instances where we go there to help people but we don't actually bring them back, because we are just on a mission to make sure
so you go there virtually to help those who definitely must come back because they have exhausted.
In most cases, they run away from us. When they know that the GID is in town, they run away.
Because they think you will identify them.
No, that's not. We are not going there to bring those people back. Because
why do they run away?
In Europe, each person's case is your own case.
It's an individual.
It's an individual case. If you exhaust all the legal pathways in Europe, just like in the Gambia, we also deport people.
Yes.
If you exhaust everything and you cannot stay here, GID does it. If you finish your prison sentence, we send you out. If you are undesirable, we send you out. We do it. So in Europe too, if you exhaust all these pathways, they have to ask you to leave. Those are not the ones we are, because they ask you to leave and you are in town. In Germany, you can be going around doing things. They ask you to leave. If you don't leave, one day they meet you on the street. One day they meet you on the street. You are going. You're not even going to your house. You're going straight to the airport.
Or detention.
And they will force you, because if you want to resist, they can chain you.
That's the time they can chain you.
They can chain you. We don't like that. When they come here at the airport, we normally confront these authorities. We ask them why our boys are chained. We ask them why they are returned, and they give us all the necessary documentation.
They said they refuse to
Yes,
comply.
but for going to Europe, it's at government level. We don't send ourselves there. The Gambia government sends our people there to do their job, and that's what they do. But the intention is not to go and round up our boys and bring them back.
You don't have $50,000 every day to intercept. I don't know how you're gonna.
Yes,
we don't
I ask it because
they have laws governing their own countries. So each country is different from the other. It's their country. If you go there, you are at their mercy. If they think they can give you papers, they'll give you. If they think they cannot give you paper and you need to leave, come back and try.
So what do you go there for then? What do they invite immigration to come and
yes,
help
we have people who actually are people they cannot identify where they come from.
Exactly.
You are like a citizen of no nation, actually. So you don't belong anywhere, and you need to belong somewhere.
So they need help.
Stateless persons.
They need help.
They need help. Yeah, from us.
Collaborators.
Yes,
from
because
countries they believe those come from. Like
yes, what happened is some countries actually, like the Spanish, they have their people here on the ground. The Germans have their people here on the ground. The US and other countries. But for Gambia, we don't have people posted in Spain permanently for that purpose. But you need to have that at the embassy, because the embassy actually identifies these Gambians who want to come back and gives them ETCs, emergency travel certificates, so that they can come back. So we just go there to reinforce what the embassy is actually doing there.
With all these officials, you have these embassies, you have protocol, nangam. You don't have immigration there.
No, we don't have that. And
perhaps
actually,
that's what you should look for.
Actually,
now.
we only have immigration in Dakar and
yes,
in the USA. In the USA, in Italy, it's an official mission different from the embassy work.
Okay.
That's in the EU mission. What we've tried as much as possible to push it through government. By our Director General, CD Toure has been working on it.
And they will take Sait Matty or somebody.
Yes, you need this expertise to be on the ground to help people. Because you cannot leave your Gambian citizens at the mercy of.
But then the other question is
Europeans.
Do these people really want to be helped as well? For me that's the.
Sometimes they don't understand what we are doing there. Sometimes they think that they have other options.
Them to go.
They think they have other options, but we are actually dealing with those who have no option. But those who have options, because Europe is merciful to those who have skills and those who have chances. But those who have no chance, you exhausted everything. You just need to live.
And some cannot speak the language, some cannot even understand.
Some have criminal records.
Yeah. What they call criminal records is different from what we call criminal records.
Yes,
that's another thing.
Some have been convicted over and over again, and they need to send them out. And maybe the guy does not want to go to comply or to go. We don't actually go and bring them, but we go and do our job and come back. We are doing it against our own brothers, and I know what everybody feels about it. We are passionate.
They just simply put it as sentimentally. They come here to identify you. But then, of course, that's your job. You need to identify as a Gambian, and you must go home.
Before they send us non-Gambians, we need to confirm that they are Gambians.
That's right.
Those are the people who are coming. Before they send you non-Gambians,
but then there are other
you need to identify. So in some instances, they send us people who are not Gambians. Especially we also have the problem with Germany. You hear 140 Gambians return to Gambia, and maybe out of 140, maybe 130 are the only Gambians. Maybe another 10 are not Gambians. But so that inflates the statistics.
But how did this happen? Because you also hear names that are supposed to be Gambians that you yourself know they are not Gambians. How do they get Gambian papers in the first place? That's the question for you, people in the immigration.
Do they even travel with papers? That's
recently,
do they even travel with
No.
In some instances, they actually
there's a story from Britain about a certain on Gambian name. Okay? Sorry for saying that, because but then some names are on Gambian, but then they are sent to Gambia because they show Gambian papers.
Well,
people criticize your department, GID, for probably giving papers to non-Gambians. And in that case, they have to come to the Gambia because the Gambian paper they presented.
Yes, Mr. Cham, that could happen.
That could happen.
That could happen, and we are not going to deny the fact that could happen. But I am assuring you that
sorry about it.
the pathway to getting a Gambian document.
Exactly.
It's clearly stipulated in the laws of the Gambia, and I can assure you that that's what we follow.
Come on, that happened
and
everywhere.
if there are instances where people
always beat the system in Africa.
Yes, can I also say this?
Yeah.
The name, the name of a person does not specifically mean that it should be a nationality. You can have a funny name, and you get, because there are different ways to get Gambian citizenship: by birth, by descent, by naturalization, and by registration. Somebody who gets it by naturalization or by registration can have a very funny name, even an Indian name. You know, so you need to verify those things.
Tomorrow we hear that Mr. Chokorobati has been recorded.
Yes, don't panic.
and oftentimes, because I was living abroad, thank God, I did not have to go through that. But we all know when you are living abroad, we integrate with our brothers and sisters abroad. So oftentimes, people make sure that their documentation are disappeared. And at one point, and I can fully remember, this was when, you know, we had a change in government, and it was seen as Gambia was more of like a, you know, open country, like, you know, so some people, and even before, at that stage, at one point, it was seen as Gambia during the dictatorship. Yeah. You know, Gambia was one of those opportunities that some people would say, no, in fact, I'm a Gambian. Yeah. Because of they know that, and then they will claim political asylum, so that, you know, that they will not be thrown back.
Yeah, like
you see,
like some Gambians have made themselves Eritreans when Eritrea was
our passport is
or Somalis or Liberians.
Our passport is rated very high. Our passport is rated very high.
Yeah, so
and hence it's obvious that it is attractive to some people who will try to attempt to get our passport.
But that will be jobs of such as your men, you and your colleagues to stop.
But it's not only them. It's not only them. Yes. Because also, like, you know, remember when you need a document, you have to get certain certificates and all that stuff, different stuff. So it's the community again. You know, like it is us.
People back each other to get the document. And sometimes the system, there is no system that is perfect.
Yeah, that's
they can build a system.
Yeah, that's
we are not denying the fact that they can get other ways. We are not going to deny that because that have to be proved.
If they can build a system in Europe or America, who are we to say?
Yes, and judging by the way our passport is, people want to the same. But coming back to migration aspects, I think the department is working tirelessly to make sure that we do our part in terms of border management aspect of controlling migration. There are so many other units responsible for other things, but in terms of migration management, I think the department is committed. We have so many plans and programs. This Operation No Back Way is one of the plans to control these departures. It was launched sometime last week, and it is still ongoing. There is no indication that it is going to stop very soon. It will be here, and I think the plan is to make sure that it stays as long as possible, so that we can save lives. I think the most important thing is that we don't want another disaster like the other one. You can imagine, even if 2 Gambians died, it's serious. Now think of 10, 12, 20, 30 Gambians dying in 1 year, attempting to just go and get rich. It's very, very sad.
That's a catastrophe.
Yeah, so, and then even getting into Europe is just one part.
Yeah.
We always try to
what will become of you?
That is stage 1.
You don't know.
Now you are remaining, you are left with many other stages to conquer. Yes.
So I mean, always the problem is it's just remain a fantasy. For most people, it's just a fantasy. It's only when they get there that they know that, I mean, we have just started.
Yeah.
Inspector Alkali.
I had one something for him.
Okay.
Yeah, because of there is this agreement between the EU and the Gambia. Best practice agreement, and you know, there are numerous, you know, requirements within this. You know, even for the Gambia part, we are also, there is a quota of numbers that we can accept. Yes, and so it's just how much are we trying to, because it's a document which works both ways, you know, and it's supposed to help us govern in between EU countries and, you know, Gambia, how we are bringing people back, because of one of the concerns is that we are just bringing back. But there's and if you go to the document, we, the Gambia, we are supposed to do some mathematics to sort of highlight this is how much we can take back. Yeah, so that there is that sort of a communication. You know, I have the document. It was some sort of a secret document for quite a long time, but we managed to get hold of it.
Are you familiar with the
best practice,
so-called best practice agreement, which under which they can deport people, but rather quietly or perhaps more civilized.
You think? I think most of these things are handled at the foreign affairs level. At the GIG level, we deal with the enforcement part of it, and with returns and deportations, our job remains at reception. Reception. When they are coming, we receive them and hand them over to the institutions that provide reintegration support. IOM, Charitas, Red Cross, and so on and so forth. The foreign affairs actually deals with the number of people that can come, that cannot come, the number of people we can send.
You merely to receive and process.
Our job is to receive and process, and also make sure that the people that are coming are actually Gambians. If they are not Gambians, we have a right at the airport or at the land border to send them back. via the same vehicle or via the same flight. We can deny entry at the airport. But in most cases, we only limit ourselves to what we are supposed to. You know, migration is very cross-cutting. Of course. You have other issues, like foreign affairs is leading in the migration diaspora aspect, and they are the one dealing with all these EU agreements and the other countries outside. Yeah.
Fantastic. So, Inspector Alkali Jammeh, thank you very much. He is the Assistant Head of Operations at the Migration Management Unit of the Gambia Immigration Department. Thank you very much for coming on the brunch and for sharing very important issues with our public. We count on you. Perhaps we'll get you back. But we hope, of course, the numbers minimize and your operation will be able to catch so many. How do you call them? Would-be departures or attempted potential
would-be migrants.
Would-be migrants and their organizers.
Yes, I think at the moment we
forgot to say one thing that you now said you could even charge them with murder. Suppose you find out that the circumstances where they transported resulted in deaths.
Yes, you know, the sad part is these unscrupulous people actually collect monies, not worrying what kind of boat. Some of the boats they actually bought them are very bad boats. These are old boats, very, very old boats. You collect that huge amount of money and then put people in a very old boat, not caring if the boat will actually reach or not. There are instances where we intercepted the boats whilst the boat is leaking.
And there have been reports of people running out of food and water.
Food and water and fuel and all that. Sometimes they don't. They collect 100. They cater for 100 people and put 150 people on board. So if you go on the journey and then halfway and the water is finished, you can spend 5-6 days without water. This is where some people will drink sea water, which is harmful. Sometimes people die out of that. You know, and they just collect the monies, you know, put them on board these boats, and then don't care if they arrive or not. In fact, what they even wish for is for them to arrive, to die or arrive. They don't care. They don't care if they arrive or die or they're intercepted. They don't care.
And they stay.
Once they get the money, they are on shore. So now, if you deliberately, knowing that this is wrong, knowing that you're putting somebody's life in danger, that he may die at sea, and you deliberately organize this trip, let them sail and you remain back. If that boat happen to capsize and people die, God forbid. If we get sufficient evidence that you deliberately did this and you let them go and you stayed here and you gained materially or financially,
so
you should be charged.
It is wrong to get people go that way, and for the wrong to deliberately starve them of materials or put them in leaking boats.
Yes.
So if the circumstances said they were negligent or they deliberately put people's life at risk, even though what they are doing might be wrong in the first place, they could that can charge for more.
Yes, because we look at the type of boat they are in. We look at the amount of food that was on board and water. We look at the condition that he sailed them on. Either it was on a rough day or on a calm day, and these are all facts that can lead to the prosecution of such people.
Wonderful.
And as the commissioner said during one of these interviews, that they can be charged for murder. They can be tried.
Good.
Because it has reached that level. Absolutely. And something has to be done.
Definitely. Inspector, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much.
The brunch will continue with a look at the 2023-24 national budget. No, you have done.
Many wow delivery. Gone are the days.
Becoming an increasingly popular mechanism for poverty alleviation, especially for developing countries around the world. This microfinance service adheres to the principles of Islam as a form of social responsibility. Yona Islamic Microfinance is the Islamic microfinance of choice in the Gambia, trustworthy and reliable. At Yona Islamic Microfinance, we provide savings products, current accounts, financing products in conformity with Islam. In addition, Yona Islamic Microfinance also offers local and international remittances, takaful fund, management of zakat, management of awqaf, trading and investment, and building of strategic partnerships to bring financial services to the doorstep of the poor with donor projects, madrasas, youth organizations, women groups, and farmer organizations. Make a choice with Yona Islamic Microfinance today. For more information on Yona Islamic Microfinance, call 377-2151 or 9832-151 or visit Yona head office at Tipa Garage, Bakote, or visit any Yona branch located countrywide near you.
To the brunch. From migration matters, we now go to money matters, because the National Assembly has just been convened to look at the 2023-24 budget. Yes, that is the money that the Gambia will spend on all services, debt repayments, salary perhaps, maybe, and other things. So journalists, as usual of course, journalists used to tell of Gainako, Flex has seen the budget. Flex, what's in the budget?
Yes, let me just get myself sat properly. So this year, from the budget that has been tabled, if you look at it, the total appropriation is about 29 billion. 29 billion. And the biggest part of it, as you were hinting to, is the issue of debt service. Over 7.5 billion is going, yeah, so
we're left with 22 billion.
You see, so it's actually a quarter, almost a quarter, of the budget will be going to debt service. So that highlights to you where we are putting a lot of our funds. The President's office is this year they will be having around 872 million.
Is that more than last year?
Yeah, haven't done the comparison yet.
But 800 million will go to the President's office.
Yes, almost 900. If you
is that the biggest, or agriculture or health?
We have agriculture and health, but they are bigger. Yeah. They're usually bigger. In fact, for agriculture, I can pick that out for you right away. Let's see, Ministry of Agriculture. Just give me a second. Let's make sure we get the right figures. Agriculture, we are having actually we have less, it seems like, for yes, 381 million. Yes, 381 million, which highlights that we are investing less on agriculture.
Maybe also they depend on grants and support projects.
Yes, well, infrastructure is a big area. 844 million.
Is that Ministry of Works?
Yes. Yeah. So that also tells a very important point that we are investing more in the President's office than in some of these other
800 million.
Yes, but the big hitters, which I think I should highlight, the other big hitters, 4 billion in education and 4 billion.
4 billion.
Yes,
that's commendable.
So that's always the case. Ministry of, because the staff, even it's such a huge ministry.
And the school support grants and stuff like that.
Exactly, but that's for basic and secondary. So that doesn't include higher education. Then another of the big hitters is 6.3 billion, which is going into. Actually, let's take a look at that. it seemed like 6.2 billion is actually going to infrastructure.
Oh,
that's actually going
billion.
to infrastructure, and the 844 million is going to agriculture.
6 billion is going to infrastructure?
No, 2.6.
2.6 billion.
2.6, yes.
Wow.
So that's another big investment.
Because they started a lot of this road construction, you know, and now I think the idea is to finance some of this development infrastructure from our own
instead
local,
of
yeah,
what happened
at least to contribute to
what
that.
What happened to the grants or loans or whatever that have been promised from abroad?
Yeah, we sit and like ask them, especially with the national development plan.
Yeah.
Like maybe Flex can
Does
continue
this
first.
big, huge budget for moisture reflects, not moisture, rather Minister of Works, does it reflects the fact that now we have to fund these projects from our own?
Yeah, I think especially if at all they are loans, for me loans I just consider them as our money,
yeah, of
and monies that we have to still pay. So yeah, so that's always a big issue.
Yeah. Which other ministry? What about defense?
Defense, Ministry of
900.
Defense.
It's almost 992 million.
$1,000,000.
So that's
defense is always a huge budget, and that's why at some point, you know, the military wanted to get involved in agriculture so that they can reduce some of this budgetary costs.
Yes.
But that's a big debate, you know, outside. But
this goes not only in remunerations but in equipment.
Yes, this is all. This is the budget appropriation. This is the appropriation itself that tells you what the different ministries are getting.
Let's go to sports.
Sports.
Youth and sports.
Yes, that's one of you always reporting on youth and sports, huh?
But I don't think this has been approved yet. This is what has been presented.
This has not. Yes,
parliamentarians will go through this.
This has not been approved yet, of course. These are what
the minister wants.
Yes, has laid.
Yes.
This is what he has laid on, you know, in Parliament.
Sport is 122 million, it seems.
Yes. 122 million.
122.
Yeah, that is youth and sports, and we are talking about migration.
Youth and sports.
That is less than what is left of the renovation of the Independence Stadium.
No, normally,
so I don't know.
Sports, youth and sports usually account for less than 1% of the budget. Traditionally,
and in that, what is on which 100 million is less than what is left of the renovation.
But at least this time, it seems like there's been a little bit increase in the youth and sports budget, because if I remember last time it was less than 100,000.
100 million.
100 million. Yeah. 100 million. Sorry, I don't know money. So
no, you're right.
And they would say there's a sports levy also from where they can get money.
Yeah.
To augment this budget.
Yeah. Whether it's going there, where are they actually putting it?
That's another
if there was the sport levy, why didn't they use the sport levy to give us a stadium? Well, you see, which is what some of the people will.
If it definitely was more effective. Yes.
If it was that effective, you see. So I mean, this is just with regards to the appropriation.
Okay.
You have other very important aspects in the budget.
What do you do? When budgets are presented, we use normally when we are young. We know everybody want to know what they call revenue allocation.
This is exactly where I was coming to.
Yes.
You know, how much revenue?
Salary.
Yeah. So total revenue and grants, right? That they are in planning, that they believe what we'll be having is 34 billion. 34 billion revenue and grants for the year 2024. Yeah. Yes. And then expenditure and net lending, which is what balances, is 39 billion. So which means that we have a deficit of 4.4 billion. So until now, there need to be either some cuts here and there for us to be able to have a balanced budget. Currently, we don't have a balanced budget. The budget is not balanced. We are always
in red.
Yeah, we are in the red right now. Last year, the deficit was 3.9 billion. And this year, the deficit, as you can see, is increased by 1 billion. So, but National Assembly members, this is where their work is not easy. Where do you cut? Everybody needs finance. Sports needs stadium.
Yeah.
Agriculture, we need food to be able to eat.
Absolutely.
You know, education, far.
Health.
Health is another issue. So
victims.
You see, where can we cut?
Did you see any takeaways? Has there been any budget for victims?
No, that would be under the Ministry of Justice.
Yes, it's normally. Let's say justice. Yes, I have some information here.
Yeah.
And that is something that we have been following, the reparations. Yes. Reparations in particular.
That's Justice Minister.
Yes. So last year they actually approved 75 million for reparations.
think they said 155 million. That's what
at one point
that was
the
year before. It was
okay.
about 150
million.
Yes, and then they actually cut it down to 100, but then the victims never got anything.
Yes.
This year as well.
Paid, yes.
Yes, this year as well, they had approved 75 million. Yeah, for reparations, but they also did not get anything. Yeah. It's there, and now this year
budget, coming year,
they have put in 60 million as reparations.
Really?
Yes.
60 million.
60 million as reparations. So you can see that every year it continues to go down, but
it's
they
not
have not
paid
been
in the first place.
This is the thing. So we drive some of us to wonder: is this like some sort of a placeholder where put money there? And then you can come and you can access it.
But they don't have the money. So this is also based on what they collect every month and how they allocating that as well.
That's
so
true.
if for instance they've collected money and they're not started paying victims, maybe they're not gonna pay the victims for that year until
the money goes back.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how they do with this all government money.
There are two things.
I'm just interested in where they
it's a very important. There are two things. One, it seems like if you are a victim, how do you feel? Like they are telling you that they have approved this, and you don't approve a budget to not follow it. Yeah, of course they are. You approve a budget to try to follow it as much as possible, right? There are instances. There are some things you may not be able to do, but then 2 years running, you have approved this amount for them, and nothing.
Well, they can argue that there wasn't
there was no bill. Now they have a bill.
There wasn't a commission in place.
That's one of the arguments that I completely shut down. Because of the reason why I say so, the TRRC had actually started paying. They did not need a bill to pay. Right. So, and then when the TRRC paid, they had a list. They said that these are who they are paying. Well, then when they gave them their part money, they told them that this is the amount remaining. So all the government needs to do to close the TRRC matters and for the reparations which had already been agreed, there is no need for a bill. Fine.
No, there have been.
But looking further,
but this is going to revive. You remember what happened? The guidelines drawn by the TRS. You remember the victims have said that is,
that was controversial.
That was too small compared to at whatever level. So this new bill is trying to set up a commission that's going to review, put up a new guideline.
Exactly.
And perhaps to pay more money for reparations.
You see, and this
so the government had always said that commission now. That's coming out of the bill is going to be responsible now for new guidelines and even to identify more victims.
Fantastic. Yeah. Clear the backlog.
So they are not going to clear. They should have cleared the backlog.
Clear the backlog and then top them up. Yeah. No problem. Yeah. We are happy with that. But
maybe what's going to happen is,
but don't tell the people that wait, we have not cleared the backlog. Yeah. But no, we are setting this up so that we can top you up. Like,
no, we can clear the backlog and then top you up.
Yes, clear the backlog and then top them up. No problem.
No, but for me, I also think, you see, at least the commission, as a TRRC, they were able to do that because it was a commission. But then the time frame was too short. And since they were an independent body, I mean, now...
And they had only 50 million, which they spent, I don't know how much was left.
For me, I was expecting that this bill could have come earlier. For me, the argument could have been that. But for me, I think it is... it is the better way, I think, at least to pay back, to pay people.
I agree. Now the only issue is when they have there is a bill that has been passed. You will need to set up an office. Yeah. That will take monies. Yes. You will need to pay commissioners.
Yes. Well, they said these commissioners will be ad hoc. They will be paid, of course, but not like a permanent body. They will need to sit down. If they need to sit down, they get paid and they go.
Yeah, this country, if we check the number of commissioners which we have, I believe we must be the highest number of commissioners per square kilometer. I tell you, in the Gambia. Commissioners left, right, and center. So these things cost, and to set up an office for them to start functioning, you see, so. Perhaps, look at the Access to Information Commission. Yeah. We passed this bill in 2021, not so? Yeah. And until now, we don't have a commission. Yeah. Yeah. So, now, until now, and we are in 2023, we are going to 2024. Yeah. The commission has not been set up. So, I hope that they don't use the same, lethargic method. They do this thing quickly.
I hope that the Victim Compensation Commission, the Reparations Commission will be much more put in place sooner than rather.
But then, 60 million. But then the good thing you have also is not only, I think with the NHRC, the Human Rights Commission also, you know, you can, so for me now, what I see, and sometimes that's why I want people to also look at this holistically, you know, because what the TRRC has done also has given the NHRC the responsibility to monitor whether, you know, these things have been implemented to an extent. So you see, it provides the recommendation, but yet overall it has given an oversight responsibility to the National Human Rights Commission. And so for us, especially those of us that are engaged in this governance and more broadly on the TJ process, you know, you see that sometimes we just look at it here, but if you look at all these different elements, when you put them together or taken together, you know, you see a nice picture of mechanisms that has the potential to address some of these different issues. But of course, it's a Gambian way, Gambian thing, so we see how it also goes. I think that should be important.
You didn't talk about salary.
Yeah. Yes, personnel emoluments and recurrent expenditure. Let's see. So I think just overall for recurrent expenditure, let's see what they have got here. I haven't got that off the top of my mind, but we can look at something else and then come back to that.
Yes, salary. Normally, the budget people want to know whether there have been any salary increments or whether there have been.
Well, if there was, they might announce it. Because salary increment is also political. You know, we have increased salary, and then people see $5 increment. You know, when the ministers and everybody get more money. So sometimes for me, those kind of arrangements to increase salary is just.
I'm sure within the debates, that's when some of these things will come out. But
where is the budget speech itself? When is the minister coming to this?
They are currently having a retreat. They started the first day today.
Okay.
Because they usually need to take some days to sort of, because budgets. Even myself right now, that's why you see I'm still struggling to respond to some of it, because this thing has just been issued yesterday. And this document,
so they are studying them.
It's over 100 pages, you know, so we are studying it right now. Although we've just glimpsed the top of it, so I might make some mistake, and I know Ministry of Finance will be on my neck.
So when the minister comes, he will come with some explanation as to,
of course, in the budget speech.
Why they have done this and that and that.
They will definitely do that in the budget.
So speech. 34 billion, you said.
Yes.
34 billion, and 7 billion is for debt service.
Debt service.
So we are left with 22
it's
billion.
29 billion for the appropriation.
Okay.
So that is what will go into the different government sectors, the ministries, and that 29 billion, and then 7 billion is going for debt service. So this has always been the main problem. And I think it means that National Assembly members should start looking at having a sort of a moratorium on loans, or even what type of loans. So the moratorium on loans doesn't need to say you're banning all loans, but loans which are viable, that can bring economic growth,
productive investment.
I always say, for example, there are some things in this country which I would never be in disagreement for us to take loans, if at all we just manage them properly. We are talking about fishing here. Why until now we have not invested significantly in our fish sector, so that we can be harnessing, and selling fish. Transportation, every now and then, if you are traveling after work or to go to work, people are struggling with transportation. You can invest into this, because you know that every day you are making money from it. So, but obviously,
taking loan to do, but some of this loan might have been also historical loans, taken for like 50, some years ago.
I have a contributor who says, one soul Baji, he said, if we want to save this country, the National Assembly must pass legislation that allows them to write the entire budget and allow the cabinet to submit their priorities. He said, then reconcile the bill to and prioritize what we must get done, and pass the bill with the power to overrule the president if he vetoes it. So, Baji, on the budget.
No, that's a difficult one to implement. Numerous reasons why. The parliament is an oversight body. They don't implement.
But then one of their core function is the budget.
Yes.
So for me, I think, it is doable though. But you'll finish your point.
The reason why I believe, first of all, there's some sort, the executive the budget, if you look at the budget, yeah, you have a national development plan, yeah, and if you piece that national development plan into 5 years, for example, each year, that is one of the budget. That is our budget.
Yeah.
So the way it's supposed to work, in my small mind, and development experts are out there, these budgets, if you put them together, yeah, and they tabulate, it should correlate straight to the national development plan. If you put 5 of our budget for those years together, that's the national development plan, and that is emanating from the government. So as much as you want to have the parliament to do those things, it's a balance. You know, I'm also one of those who advocate that we cannot restrict the executive too much until it now becomes, this is not the executive's plan. This is now just the National Assembly's plan. But the truth is, any budget that comes, Parliament can cut it to 0, add to something. Parliament has every power.
They have the power
to amend. They still have that power, which this gentleman is highlighting. To amend the budget to as anything that they feel suit. But when it comes, the thing is, the Ministry of Finance, they do budget bilaterals all year round. And this is how they manage to create the budget. And it's a whole year round thing. So if we want to transfer that responsibility to the National Assembly, it will be, I don't know how they are going to, they will not have any time even to do any oversight on the different.
But then the good thing now is, like, you know, and this is one of the things that I've been saying, that the Assembly itself is improving, and currently I think they have a budget office. Because then the role of the budget office is also to help, like what Baji was saying, to look at these issues, to ensure that even parliamentarians themselves have a clear understanding of what their function and role is, but also in terms of the engagement. But like Flex said, I mean, they have the power. You know, this is appropriation, so they're the ones that should be, you know, decide. You can bring your proposal. What the executive currently is doing, they're bringing proposals. They're bringing proposals. We want to invest in this. We want to invest, and that's why the budget is one of the most important tools for any country. I mean, after the constitution, they say is the budget, is the money, and so therefore the way to deal with that, what kind of priorities you do and how you invest in those, for me, I think are very critical. So. But then the other problem we have been doing, you know, and for me, I mean, where I will agree with Baji is that how can we shift the conversation around the budget from a top-down approach, where it's the ministries and all those things, they can think about, oh, this community, they need a school, so we have to give them a school. Maybe the community does not need that. Maybe that's not the priority. The community might be interested in a road that can lead them to their farms. How do you deal with all these different issues? For so many years, we only have a budget from this, and then it comes down. But of course, recently we've seen the citizen budget idea, but still is about summarizing the budget.
4 years ago, you know, 4 years ago, when this current Ghanaian government was coming to power, they campaigned on something that they call $1 million a constituency. Like, for example, in our side we have, well, how many? 53 perhaps constituencies. $1 million
for each constituency.
I mean, if you bring that's today $60 million. You take that to Bakau constituency, for example, 60 million can go a long way to develop the community.
But you know, sometimes we don't know even how much it will take to invest in a district, for instance, or constituency, or any of these things. For me, I would like to, you know, see that, you know, kind of break down. Maybe I'm demanding too much.
I mean,
but it helps for planning, for planning.
So if we have such an arrangement where the assembly members or the chiefs or the councillors,
it should be the local government.
Each constituency, they know what is the development budget priorities here. They get that down and then, you know, bring down.
For me, that's what budgeting is supposed to be, even, and that's why I agree that that's supposed to be budgeted. Budgeting is about what the people need, you know, and how you do that. But then if you budget half of the budget on travels and all those different stuff, then what comes to the people? What comes to the people then is the projects that you're trying to attract, and that's why people are saying there is nothing in this country. And that's why, I mean, despite it is very expensive, I'm very happy that we are using also our own resources to sponsor routes like the Hakalang routes and all those things, because this is our money, and the money must be spent to invest in stuff. But now my only other problem is, like, we are paying, imagine, that's 7 billion that we are paying in debt. You know,
that could have filled many holes.
Oh my God!
Or even build bigger.
The next biggest, then after the 7 billion, the next biggest budget line entity is 4 billion.
And that's
and then after the 4 billion, the next biggest one is 2.6. So that goes to show you how we are investing in the various sectors. But there's an important point which you raised, which is to have the top-down, bottom-up approach. Because currently we have a top-down approach. But one of the things which we hope that will improve, because the time is one of the, a lot of times we talk about money, but we forget about the importance of time. So parliamentarians don't have a lot of time to actually approve the budget. And for me, that is by design. Or perhaps if you look at in the past, the budgets were not as big and complicated as they are now. So perhaps you needed less time. But regardless, the more time that Parliament has to review the budget, the more time it can go and engage
their constituents.
So Honorable Alajimbo from Upper Salem has managed to pass a champion a private member's bill.
I remember that.
And that bill
give them more time.
Give them more time. But that does not kick in now.
2025. It starts 2025.
So currently, for example, this is what happens. Like Parliament, they go as soon as they get, because they have what, 14 days from the day that the budget is laid to approve it. So, and half of that is taken from the budget retreat. So they've just tabled it on Friday, but then by Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they might still be in their budget retreat.
I think that's for 2 days, 18 to 28 or something.
It's not 3 days.
I think 18. When is 18? Today?
Yes.
18, 19, 20. Yes, 3 days.
So 3 days. So you see that 3 days, cut 3 days out of 14. Then the rest of it, they must debate. They must debate the budget before they can pass it.
But also the committees have also been working, because the committees are also, Parliament also have bilateral.
Exactly.
The committees, some people are invited to come and defend their budget.
You see?
And so that's also part of the process.
That's also part of the process.
So I don't know whether that is also included in this 14 days.
It's all in the 14 days. All in the 14 days, because of now they will invite them to come and defend. That will be different. And then after that, because of Parliament will now have to put together a report, the FPAC, from all these committee meetings which we are talking about. That report will then be tabled in Parliament.
As the preliminary,
And that report is usually what should guide when they are going to do cuts here, cuts there. They will say, yes, we met so-and-so sector. This is what the arguments. Now, what do we say? So then that leaves you virtually with very little room to do any bottom-up consulting. For example, they could have engaged the councils. They could have engaged, but they don't have time.
It's the structure. It's the structure of the the system.
So we might get
but then the good thing also I've seen with Gambia Participate, they've also been engaging, in this physical conversation with the parliamentarians and their constituents, even though it's not much. But for me, these are small steps, that we have to take, because it's all part of the general reform things that we're taking. It will not come eventually just like that. But imagine now 2025, all these challenges that we're discussing, there's a high likelihood that they will have more time, more space to engage more deeply in terms of this budget. But I think for me also, the other element that we need to do, there are so many things that needs to be shifted to local government for me. Especially issues around education. Why wouldn't we just ask KMC, for instance, to take care of the government schools that are it might not make sense. Like, there are government schools. Why don't they take care of that?
In other countries, local government responsible.
They say administrative coordinator.
Well, there we go. Well, that's where we are going to go. That's where we are going to go now. Those are the two. So much now on the budget. Those are the two things. Yes, the appointment of the the executive administrators, as they call them, executive coordinators, as well as the demolition exercise.
Administrative coordinators?
Very careful, very quickly.
Is it executive administrators
no, it's called executive coordinators. No, it's executive coordinators. Okay. That's what has been said.
Well, for me, I think I don't really know, but I was following the debate, especially between Lawyer Lamin J. Dabo and the State House, and I was not amazed just by the conversation that they were having, but the fact that the State House responded, and but yet you look at the State House arresting other, not State House, but police arresting Madi, for instance, arresting, for me, I'm looking at it from the Democrat. Why couldn't it be just easy like that? But for me, in terms of this, if you look at the background, it was during the local government election or before that when President Barrow said he was going to look at that. Whether they have direct connection, whether it's going to be a replication of what the local governments are doing, for me, I don't see I don't see the need, particularly for Banjul and KMC. Like, you know, you can talk about Basse because the president is far away, he's not there. So that's why that was the idea of the colonial.
Well, according to Lamin, the lawyer, in fact, there shouldn't have been governors in the first place. According to him, when the Local Government Act came, where Jammeh introduced these elections in these councils, he said virtually that means now that governors cannot exist there, because when you put a governor in a region, you are interfering. According to him, you are interfering to the local government.
Yeah, but then so this governor,
he said, the State House said, well, the president has the powers to appoint people, according to Section 80. But Lamin's idea is, but where can he appoint? He can't do it, he said, in the judiciary. He can't do it in the parliamentary, so he cannot do it in the local government. He said, if you appoint executive coordinator, like a minister of lands, that's responsible, that's the whole of Gambia. But when you said KM and Banjul, you are domesticating his role, and he said that will be in conflict.
No, for me personally, the way I see it is like, you know, because if you listen to the origin of where this whole idea,
the president said,
because people are not, they don't want to work with us, so therefore we're gonna create our own institution. For me, that's where I'm gonna take it. So even today, if he has the legal power, but politically, the idea is to counter this existing institution. But then the role of governor and commissioners, this is colonial. This is historical and it's colonial. But even then, you know, it has shifted towards more of being integrated into the governance structure. You know, more of a governance structure, like they are part of the civil service. But today you are creating. Today what we are doing is like we are creating political positions,
roles,
when there are political rules that are already there. That's why for me what the constitution says, and I think that has really highlighted that, and that's why for me I am more of the person that want to see devolution of power, so that people can be responsible. I mean, local government can be responsible for most of the development, because this is the intention of the law, that development must get to the people. It's not the central government that should bring development to the people. It's the local government that should do that. The role of the central government is to coordinate, to ensure that this is being done. But what they are doing now is that the central government wants to go down to these places and then implement all those things. When you do that, you sideline other institutions. For me, I mean, the law is the law, but then the reasoning and how it comes is political. And so, I mean, I know Amul, even if you tell Amul to go and lead anywhere, he will go and lead anything. Because for him, his idea, his interest is to serve the country. But why are we creating political institutions when the real interest is supposed to strengthen the local institutions that are supposed to be there, that are already recognized, that have the law? But now when you create this institution, whether we like it or not, there will be conflict. And you know, instead of preventing conflict, we are creating role for conflictual role. So for me, I mean, I don't see this sense.
Flex,
basically.
Yes, I'm looking at it from the economic perspective here. If you look at the National Development Plan, it talks about restoring good governance, respect for human rights, the rule of law, and empowering citizens through decentralization and local governance. This is what the government told us. This is their plan. This is what they want to implement. And that they are going to empower local government. The truth of the matter is this. If the elections had brought forward NPP mayors for KMC and Banjul, there would not be any such appointment.
There would not be executive coordinators.
It would not exist. Because
so as Flex is suggesting, it was not born. It's not born out of good faith.
It's not.
It was the president responding to the local councils being controlled by opposition.
Yes, and even he hinted that.
Yeah, he said he would appoint. Yes,
he would appoint them.
Yeah, he said that.
He said governors. He promised, and now we are saying that.
The truth is, a lot of times, President Barawari, he says some things. Nowadays, he acts on them.
Oh, okay.
It might take 2-3 months.
Sometimes nowadays, not even months.
Yeah, it comes.
Because of the last time about the Mahdi issue, when the president was talking about that, you know, if people are, you know, his critics, he will rearrest them.
Even after they have been granted bail.
Even after they have been granted bail and all this. But then, all of a sudden we started saying
they have come back to say he didn't mean that.
Yes.
I mean, that's all the things that they keep saying.
What they can
but for me, the issue of the Mahdi ones, still now, like you look at the engagement. You know, people are learning. People are discussing about the engagement with lawyer Dabo and State House. That is what is expected. Lawyer J. Dabo in a democratic society.
I say your point. And what State House did was commendable.
It was commendable.
Yeah, for the first time, and we have always said this.
Yes.
We have said it in this forum that the media is for everybody.
Everybody.
Now, if you feel that something has been misrepresented or you share a different opinion, you have the right to come back promptly and reply.
Yes, you don't need to use
involve the police, involve anything, bring charges. You cannot criminalize people's expressions, and because people are already citizens.
Don't involve the police. Just come out and say, look, this has been said, but this is our view.
And when people disagree, we have the court.
Yeah,
people go to the court.
People go to challenge.
Yeah, now you remove all the violence because when you use the police, when you use the institution, you are bringing caution into what's supposed to be a discussion.
Yeah, like Lavin J. Dabo said. He said, okay, I said this, State House said this.
Yes.
This left for anybody to challenge. Let's go to the courts.
You know, for me, I'm not legally minded.
So Lamin Jabo will not be arrested. Somebody there will not be arrested. There will be no ill feelings.
Yes.
There will be no...
And democracy, our democracy will be consolidated.
Exactly.
So for me, this is what is expected.
We have said this, that government will have to be proactive and take on critics or opinions that they think are unfairly represented, promptly reply. Yes. As the case in the State House.
Exactly.
That was commendable.
And it created a debate instead of people saying, oh, you are violating people's rights.
Exactly.
It created debate.
It created a debate.
And that's what we expect in this country, where we have to debate on these issues. And people that are professional, when they express, because Lamin J. Dabo is the lawyer.
He's a lawyer.
And he looks at the law and he will argue based on the law. Me, I am political. Me, I look at the political relationship. I look at the reason why it is there for me, and I see power. That he wants to control power. That's why he wants to create an extra. And this one is looking from economic side, looking at the money. This is what builds the country. It's not just because you don't want to hear people.
And coming back to the economic side, I'm picking this up from the National Development Plan. You know, what is the cost of setting up offices? This new administrative positions, those will have to be paid salaries. They will have to be bought vehicles. They will need to have an office, and it's not just them. When you say an office, it's not just him alone or the alone.
You have to get clerks, drivers.
Yes. So now,
and maybe nowadays you have how do you call media officers?
You see,
so now you might get journalists appointed in the executive coordinator's office.
Put all these monies into these aspects. Now the money that you would have used to invest in local government, that same money is the same money that you could have used to invest in the local government,
or to give them regular subventions,
and to achieve the National Development Plan objective of decentralization and empowering local government. You see where I'm coming from? So from an economic standpoint, I would argue that it does not make money sense. It does not empower those at the local level as much as it would have done had they looked at a different approach. And I would really recommend them to, look at how they will make sure that whatever money that they were planning to put into, because of, I don't know whether those roles are even allocated for in the budget.
Did you see that?
It came too soon.
It came so soon.
It came under the local government.
So,
no, it cannot be local government. Maybe
it's local government.
It will be under, yes, it will be under, it should be.
Where is the governors?
Governors of
local government.
Yes, local government.
Maybe they are local government.
Yes. So these are all things that we will now, when we are looking, as I said, we just got the budget yesterday. When we are looking, we are still perusing through the budget. We are looking at particular issues, where have they put the monies?
Maybe
have they allocated money
local government
for an administrator? Have they allocated money for his office?
That came too soon for this budget. It came too soon for this. Too late for this. Too late for this budget.
So you see, there is nothing. For me, I look at it. The people that have been appointed or that mentioned being appointed, politicians.
Okay. You are looking now at the choice.
No, for me, I look at politics. Everything is power.
You've seen politics in this from
from top to bar. So for me is that, and then my fear is that.
So give us names. Who are these people?
No, there is Jao. Jao was contested.
Prima Jao is the executive coordinator for Banjul. Bakari Singate. Bakari Singate is for KM.
Amul is the deputy.
No, Amul is deputy.
So it's not, you are talking about economy. It's not only the main one, but there's also a deputy.
So is this confirmed? But because of
Yeah, the permanent secretary and the Ministry of Local Government confirmed it.
They've released a statement that, and the president has.
They've been appointed. The president appointed them.
Right, interesting.
And the permanent secretary.
Because there has always I've been looking.
The permanent secretary confirmed that yes, Bakari Singate of KM is appointed executive coordinator of KM. Ibrahim Jao Banjul. I don't think Banjul has a deputy. That's
well, it's not. Well, maybe it's too small.
But
so
Amul Nyas has been confirmed to be the deputy. In Cape.
And that's why I was saying for Amul, if you tell him to anything he work for.
So where will these people? They will be.
Who will not take a job?
Yeah, he will not take it.
So they will be housed in the Ministry of.
Well, that's not clear. That's not clear.
For now, until they get their.
Yes.
Because they'll have to get their Prados or Pajeros.
So Banjul now, from a political point, I can say now they are rewarding. Jao was here with
yes,
him.
Yeah,
so we were here, we had this conversation, he was contesting, but then later he did not contest. So now,
he backed the NPP.
He said.
So now, at least, so for us also, we see this, rewarding people because of their role and all that, but that's not the way to govern. When you pay people because of certain things, you jeopardize the entire process. And then you create tensions here and there.
All right. Well, the president has a right, according to Section 80 of the Constitution, to appoint people. Lamin J. Dabo, lawyer, said yes, he has the right, but not at certain places.
Of course.
All right. That's the debate. And Lamin challenge anybody to go to court. Let's talk about the Operation Clean the Roads. How is it called now? Operation. It's not Clean the Roads now.
Yeah.
Well, for many areas and for a long time, all what we get is commendations and praises for its success, and of course, for what it has done. The roads are free of obstacles, obstructions. But in Brikama, we are hearing, that even the local council there are, up in arms, saying that the destruction has entered the market, and they believe it's unnecessary. Certain areas have been unnecessarily brought down. Did you follow the argument?
Yeah, I've been following. I mean,
which side of the argument do you belong to?
For me, usually I don't take position. I just talk about, because I'm not involved. So to an extent, I see when I hear people, I think majority of people welcome the idea.
Yes.
They welcome the idea to clear the roads, and especially Birkama, the market entering. I studied there, and I so know how that place is. But for me, what I don't understand is in Kanifing here, we see the local government being part of that process. I mean, the KMC has been part of that process.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, I watched some interviews where they were, discussing this issue, where you see the KM police, they were part of but then I don't know what kind of, because this was a national task force. So what happened in Birkama that when we see the council, more or less taking the side, objecting to certain aspect, whether there was no consultation or not. But what is clear from everybody that I hear outside those that are affected is that even among those that are affected, that this was necessary. That there can be, there's some are saying like when the country needs it, everybody must be able to focus on that. And for KM, I think the argument, especially from the council, is that we have several markets where people are not going to, but they prefer to be on the highway. So instead, why can people go to those markets? Because if you are selling and then you go to certain markets, there's a high likelihood. Right now, it might not be as fast as the Serakunda market or the areas around. But gradually people will recognize, oh, this one was here, but now he's there. They'll start going there, and then that market area will develop. But then for Birkama, I'm still not sure what the real issue is. But for me, I think the intention is clear. The intention is to create the space. But I'm also equally worried about, especially the young people, especially where we're talking about migration, back way. Now you're removing these people's, in terms of their time, so we're complaining about the destruction of the properties.
Exactly.
So those issues, how do you deal with that? I think for me that was also the missing piece.
Flex?
Yes, I will pick up from where I sit. Thank you. You really gave me a good segue there.
Was the council crying foul or necessarily making noise when they said they think that the exercise in Brikama, especially in the market and certain areas, was unnecessary or malicious, they call it?
I think the exercise is necessary, but how to go about it is what I think has been the main concern. Because, for example, I believe that people should have been given an opportunity to move their own things out.
What about if they refuse to comply?
And if they fail to, then you have to take it out.
That must have been the case.
In some instances, some people, for example, how far? I mean, coming on media for some people. Because, for example, Nawek, last week, in our area, we didn't have water. And I called them, they said that they had made announcement on the social media, and I said, what? So that's how people should know, for example. Huh? Some of these people, they're in the market. You know, had they gone round and posted, you know,
give them time,
and then tell them, look, we are going to allow you to move your things, because what happened is
they said they've done that.
Some of them, they did this, the way that they remove their things, and it destroys it. Instead of, if you allow Mr. Man,
but those are the ones who fail to go, who refuse to go when they have got information.
Well, that's how much did they really sensitize them? Did they really go around because for me, what would have been very effective was to have gone down the market, posters,
but markets have committees, they have all those different stuff. You know,
I think they have committees. SK Bokolo. There are many of them. There are different communities that you can have engaged them, and they would have been able to send. I believe the sensitization was not sufficient in my perspective, but that's just my humble opinion. And I know that they have done some traditional means of communicating via like the media, because I've seen it in the media, but not everybody is even on the media, you know. So, but those are the things. Like if they had put posters around, talk to the market communities, right, to make sure that if you don't, by so and so date, if you don't remove your thing, we will demolish it. You know, and then that one, people is very clear.
But you know, the good thing also, that's what they said happened. They those whose properties or structures have been destroyed by the enforcement team is because they refused to comply with the deadline they gave them.
Because some of the people that have been complaining, they have complained that they are more than willing to comply. But the problem is they did not have any further warning for some of them.
Or they didn't have enough warning.
Enough warning. And so then that means that removing their things, there's a way that you remove something to be reused. Okay. So for example, and I completely agree, there should be a clear out. You go to Brusubi, there is a full market just close to the police there. It's a ghost town. Can you imagine? A market is there for people to go in, but people prefer to go to the garage.
The Sukuta.
Yeah, the Sukuta. Yes. That market is not. Yeah, they don't want to use.
It's a ghost town. People don't want to go there.
KMC too said they have markets. I mean,
no, that's how you do it.
But like, people don't want to go there.
So now, if you had made, this is where you connect the two. You have to live here. These are places where you can go.
Yes.
You understand?
Yeah.
So that in that way, you are not just saying leave this place. Wherever you go,
it's your business.
It's your business. Because of the problem is, some of those young people, they will leave. If they leave and they become frustrated, where else do you think they are going to go? Which way?
So the
back way.
The thing is, the reality is that everybody seems to support the idea that the roads should be clearer, the place should be decent, access should be really very easy, and everybody agrees.
Everybody agrees.
So, but then the voices we are hearing, people disagreeing with the manner it was conducted. That's where the problem is. And one aspect I learned from this is with the councils or maybe the Ministry of Trade or whatever can come about is I saw in Dakar they have daily markets. You know, for this mobile, in fact, if it's not mobile, even people with traders with structures, they still mobile in these daily markets, and they call the market by the day it comes to your area. For example, in Jejawai, they will say Marse Zodi. That is every Thursday in Jejawai, there will be a huge market will come.
Like a Lumo sort
of. Like a Lumo sort of. A huge market will come. Everybody in Jejawai knows that Thursday is the market day. They call it Marse Zodi. If you go to Yoff, it is called Marse Mardi. It comes there every Tuesday. If you go to Pekin, it will be Marse Friday. They call it there Marse Vanderday. Now, and everybody know that from morning to evening that day, that market is there. So it helps and cater for businesses like this who might have lost their locations. To now go, every day you are sure that you will have, a big sales. So that's how they do it in Dakar, and I think the councils and the Ministry of Trade can learn from this.
Innovative.
Create a market day for all this, right? Like they can go to Igbo Town, and Igbo Town people will know. It becomes part of their life.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that on Monday, it is Monday market in Igbo Town. The Bakau people will say it is Sunday market.
But that's the idea. It's happening already. It's happening. That's the Lumo. It's the idea of
more or less
Lumo is set on a specific day where people know
on
that
weekly
basis.
But in big cities,
But Lumo, do we have Lumos in the greater
in the urban areas?
Well, you have
urban
access, you know.
So, but I know that they have it when I go up country.
That's weekly or
I always see the Lumos. They are there, especially on the weekends.
Exactly.
Yes.
So this is why, like, bringing the Lumos into the urban areas and making them
a
daily.
good idea, yeah.
It's like it happened in Dakar. Dakar, if you go, I mean, it's become integral part of that society.
Yes.
If you go to Gejawai, Marseille Zone, everybody knows. You know,
should be a good one,
when it goes to Yoff, it is Tuesdays. When it goes to Pekin, it is Sundays. So they will say Marseille Dimanche, Marseille Samedi. It depends on where you are. The market moves there. And it works well.
Yeah. And then you have like 5 days or 7 days of selling.
You are giving government free ideas.
That is
I hope that they
that's a good idea that they can do.
They could. I mean, I totally agree. If
I'm talking about Senegal. That's where I want to end. You know, yesterday they said there have been 2 landmark rulings. One from the ECOWAS court and the other one from Senegal itself, the Supreme Court or whatever court, Superior Court or Supreme Court said that Usman Sonko or his party cannot take part in the elections. Basically, that's what they're saying. Where does this
Usman Sonko and his party, or Usman?
Well, the ECOWAS court said the Senegalese government is right in disbanding or
Pastif as a party.
The party.
Yes.
But but as a matter whether he's legitimate, whether he's eligible to contest, they leave that matter to the Senegalese courts.
And now
the Senegalese court is saying it cannot. He cannot be part of the process.
Even if he went independent and if he didn't go with Pastor.
Yeah, he just cannot take part in the elections.
I feel that is a draconian approach from the government because of Senegal, because this is not happening in a vacuum. The reason why I'm raising this up. Of course, some people may just have started following it when the whole issue of Senegal and Sonko was really flaring up. But there were previous elections, and in those elections we've seen a systematic elimination of Macky Sall's biggest opponents. And there is a big concern that, of course, if Sonko was to, you know how this rhetoric of Sonko is, we will make sure that when we come, we will deal with these people, you know, and all of those things. So there is concern that if Sonko was to get into power, that he would, you know, also investigate the previous regime, etc., and all of those. So my main worry is that I don't think that, you know, you can eliminate. It's democratic. I think it's very undemocratic to be eliminating people from running for elections based on these reasons. But if at all, it is based on the electoral rules, which, for example, you don't have the number of signatures to qualify, you know. But if you have satisfied all those things and your character is not, you know, impinged as they have tried to do on his case, I'm just worried with the direction in which Senegal is going for their democracy, because of they have really sort of, you know, having a positive. They've been trying, and I really want to also congratulate Macky Sall for not contesting, but you know, it's unfortunate that it's come to this. Really, I don't know what my brother.
Well, for me, for some time now, I felt that Senegal was moving to a dictatorship. I mean, especially with Macky, and given that he has left. Yeah, that's something, because for me the issue is not only Sonko, but generally this is an opportunity to curtail people, and based on our experience, wherever I see those being attempted, you know, it just reminds me of the dictatorship, and that's how I see it. But of course, for me, I see Sonko. This guy came third in the last election. He's a national figure. I mean, he's a national figure, and you know, I'm not sure what's gonna come. I'm not sure what is gonna happen. But I think you know, banning him can lead to so many other other challenges that Senegal needs to think about. Because it's not just like me with just maybe one follower or likely one person that's going to vote for you. But you're talking about someone that came third. You ban a whole party, you ban, because sometimes when you do this, maybe Senegal is stronger. But sometimes my fear is like when you ban people that want to participate in the democratic process, what you do, you force them to go underground. And when they go underground, it creates tension. And for me, that's why when they were talking even about banning APRC here, I want to see people that are contesting, that want to lead this country. I don't want to see people that have an intention to participate being pushed down to do things that are likely gonna impact our socio-economic and even social cohesion. And for me, that's the fear that I have. But I hope that of course it's a Senegalese business. I'm not gonna vote, and I think at the end of the day, the way I see it, like, it's just same like Flex. For me, the people that should ban any candidate should be the people. Reject them, or the electoral process say you are not qualified, or when the people come and say we don't want this person. But someone that came third, that he has strong support, now you ban him. What do you expect for those people? They can either participate or decide and support somebody else. So
because of my worry was that, for example, you ban him because you banned the party, fine, because of some reason, and even with that I don't agree with, right? But then now you banning the individual. So if he wanted to go independent, which I felt should have been allowed,
not if the objective is to not
so
to get
the objective is this guy
is to remove him.
Yeah, so they have added also the party. They have, for me, that is undemocratic.
Very undemocratic in my view.
Well, I'm not surprised with the verdict, and I think most Senegalese are not surprised with the verdict of the courts. I was in Dakar 2 weeks ago. If you talk to the opposition supporters, they'll tell you, look, whoever this man joined, they Usman joined So for them, they have resigned to the fact that the guy will never be allowed in.
But still, he has the power.
But then he still have the power. So they're looking at least 5 of his comrades, people who believe to be his stalwarts, have picked up the what we call nomination forms in our case. So they are now waiting.
Whether they'll ban all those people
for those ones to come. If any of those applications go through, that will be the person when Usman will click, and suddenly the state will have no reason to ban 5 people or so.
And
the strategy, if you talk to the opposition supporters in Dakar, they tell you, and
the interesting.
Well, that's a good way.
Well, that's the opposition.
And the interesting thing is, the attempt was to remove him from the voter register.
Oh, at all costs.
So that means that he wouldn't even be able to vote.
No.
Which for me is even that is super undemocratic.
But Flex, you
are allowed to vote and be voted for. So
you see how sometimes governments do not think. Governments do not think. They think like they keep this guy in the jail. Therefore, he lose the power. But when you do those things, you give this guy more power. Now anybody that comes and this guy push their support, whether sometimes whether he doesn't vote does not matter, but he's still the people. And you're talking about someone that came third in a previous election.
It may look like Jammeh and lawyer Dab.
Locking the person and
say. The other thing is,
somebody come and
is he banned for this election? Does that mean that, for example, in the next election, he will be...
Honestly, I have no idea of Senegalese politics.
But of course, if his people come to power, only lost that
automatically that's what it is. Oh my God.
Politicians don't make sense. Sometimes they want to use force. When force, in this generation, in this day and age, look at Liberia. Of course, they did not. They were trying to block this CSO coalition, the ECC, from observing. But now today, the opposition won. So sometimes they tend to do this on democratic processes. But people are watching. People are listening. If you do good, people will be with you. If you do bad, people will be against you. Simple as that.
That's natural law, of course. Well, that's about it in the brunch this week. I'm Lamin Cham. Thank you very much, Yusuf Taylor of Regainago of Flex. And Sait Matty, thank you very much. And much earlier, we had Inspector Alkali Jammeh of the Immigration Department on the migration crisis in the Gambia. We will be back next week. Until then, we wish you have a great weekend.
service adheres to the principles of Islam as a form of social responsibility. Yona Islamic Microfinance is the Islamic microfinance of choice in the Gambia, trustworthy and reliable. At Yona Islamic Microfinance, we provide savings products, current accounts, financing products in conformity with Islam. In addition, Yona Islamic Microfinance also offers local and international remittances, takaful fund, management of zakat, management of awqaf, trading and investment, and building of strategic partnerships to bring financial services to the doorstep of the poor with donor projects, madrasas, youth organizations, women groups, and farmer organizations. Make a choice with Yona Islamic Microfinance today. For more information on Yona Islamic Microfinance, call 377-2151 or 9832-151 or visit Yona head office at Tipa Garage, Bakote, or visit any Yona branch located countrywide near you.